Hello, I'm Brigid Boden for Irish Entertainment TV, and we have a very special programme for you today. We're going into the world of classical ballet, but we're talking to the men in ballet to find out what it's like to be a male dancer in this predominantly female art form. So can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, born in Chicago, raised in Colorado. My mother had a ballet school where I started training as the only boy, and then as my brothers grew up, they eventually joined a little bit, but they were years behind me. And then went to train in the School of American Ballet in New York City. Had a professional career with the Pacific Northwest Ballet in Seattle, which does a giant mixed rep of various choreographers, international recognized ballets and everything. It was fantastic. Did a little time on Broadway, done a couple films, couple TV shows, stuff like that.
Well, you know, this whole programme is about men in ballet because there are lots and lots of women in ballet, but not so many men. So I'm really interested in discussing that with you. And so can you tell us, what is it like to be a boy in ballet from a young age? When did you start? I
was 5, and my first class was adult women's jazz class, primarily because my mom's ballet school started in the basement of our home, so it was kind of a babysitting situation too. We'd go downstairs, we'd watch class, we'd partake in class, and then we were not getting in trouble upstairs. And because I was a precious, adorable little 5-year-old child, I loved the attention of these women saying how cute you are and come with me and all of that. So it was really, from an early age, I was attracted to the performance quality and people noticing me and watching me. And
well, you know, funny you should say that because I actually saw a program on the New York City Ballet men in New York City Ballet, and they said that very thing, that they were around beautiful women all the time, and some of their younger friends at school who might have bullied them a little bit were like, oh my gosh, I wish I'd done ballet now. So what was it like from when you were at school now, like proper school?
Yeah, it was public school in Colorado. For the most part, it was okay. There were, I think it was in the 6th grade, there were some boys, as our first school dance came up, and like, dude, you gotta teach me some steps, we don't know what to do. And of course, coming from a ballet background, I didn't know social dancing, so I was like, I'm kind of at a loss, but there was a little bit of a respect when the push came to shove that they needed to dance with a partner. But then came middle school, which was a little bit different, because then we were performing and I was wearing white tights, and it was a bit more on display and exposed, and the costuming and all of that changed as I was maturing, and that's when I did run into bullying problems at school.
So I really want to talk about that because, I mean, ballet is such an athletic skill to have. I don't think people realize, not a lot of people realize just what an athlete you need to be to do ballet.
Yeah, I mean, from the balance exercises, the strength, the coordination, the strength to lift another human over your head. Typically it's a guy lifting a girl, but it is occasional that the men will lift the men and the women have sometimes lifted the men. Like there's a lot of strength and coordination and agility that's required.
Now, do you start doing that at a very young age? When do you actually start building those muscles? Because you really need to be strong, don't you?
Yes, I genetically am very fortunate that I put on muscle. If I look at a steak or a cheeseburger, I put on muscle. So I kind of let it just happen naturally. I've seldom gone to a gym and worked out in my career. I've done most of my body conditioning on the job through stretching, through coordinating, through just balance, strength exercises.
Now, what do you do? What do you do in that situation? What do you say to them? Do you ignore them? What do you do?
I was very passive. I just would clam up and stay quiet. I was fortunate enough to be really good friends with the wrestling coach. It's bizarre. 7th or 8th grade, I managed the wrestling team. So I was would go to games and whatever, and I was cleaning up and gear and equipment check-ins and all that. And he recognized what I was doing. He had seen me perform. Mr. Thompson was his name, and he was very protective. So if he saw people giving me hassle, he's like, you try doing what he's doing, and that shut them down quick.
So you continued on, you said to heck with the bullies, wonderful, and so you became better and better and better. And what was your first stage experience, apart from, you know, a young child, like a major one?
First major, it would probably be when I'd moved on to the School of American Ballet, and the Metropolitan Opera across the street was doing a production and they needed dancers. So they came and hired some of the dancers from the school. I think there may be 10 of us that went over, and we had rehearsals. We do a ballet class in the morning, then we go across the plaza at Lincoln Center and have rehearsal at the Met. I've traveled large parts of the world. Usually other people are paying for it because I'm on jobs and location, so it's been great. Met some incredibly wonderful people, yourself included. But people have won all sorts of awards, Academy Awards, Tony Awards, Grammys, Emmys. I've worked with all of those types of people, and it's been kind of amazing to see behind the scenes of major TV productions that kids grow up watching.
Well, it is an extraordinary career. Somebody's trying to come in. It's so funny because, we're actually in an active dressing room. I'm going to keep all that because I think that's kind of cool. So anyway, what would the message be for boys?
You got to do it. You got to do it. It's, oh gosh, I mean, there's so many reasons to do this. If you have any desire or interest or think you might have a passion for it, you owe it to yourself to try a ballet class and see where it'll go.
Follow your dream. Follow your dream.
Absolutely. Or at least investigate your dream.
Love that.
And see where it will take you.
Seth, thank you so much for talking to us. I'm so happy and thrilled to have that little dance with you on stage.